This movie is based on a true story. In 1987, Sarah Campbell is taking her son Matthew home from the hospital in Connecticut, where he has been undergoing cancer treatments. The trips are very long, and Matt often gets sick on the way. Because of this, Sarah suggests to her husband Peter, a recovering alcoholic, that he look for a place nearby to live. He agrees.
Let's get a real house in Connecticut near the hospital.
And this is how the story begins.
Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap the movie.
During the trips to the hospital, Sarah looks for a home to live in but finds none. Until one day, she finds a man posting a rental sign in front of a large house. The man shows her the house and tells her it has a bit of history, as it was previously a funeral home. At that moment, Sarah is not very sure about moving in, but when she tries to take her son back home, he starts experiencing severe pain, which makes Sarah decide to stay in the house to spend the night. There, when Matt turns off the television, we see a shadow walking. Later, while they were sleeping, Matt starts hearing strange noises in the basement. When he goes down, he finds a door where he sees his reflection distort. Although when he wakes up, he believes it was just a dream. Later, his mother finds old photographs of the people who lived in the house. Meanwhile, Matt wants to keep the basement, realizing that the door he found cannot be opened.
What do you think's back there?
Peter arrives at the house with Matt's brother Billy and their cousins Wendy and Mary. When Sarah was showing Wendy the closet in her room, someone appears in the mirror without them noticing.
And a huge closet.
Then, while Sarah was cleaning the basement, Matt starts seeing blood on the floor, though there is nothing there. Not only that, but later, he puts the plates on the table, but he realizes they are back where he picked them up.
No. Wait.
When he picks them up again, they fall. His mother starts to worry, although Matt assures her that he is not seeing things that aren't there. But that night, Matt starts having visions of a bearded man riding on the skin of a corpse, and a young man next to him. When he wakes up, he tries to open the mysterious door but gets burned. The next day, the doctor tells him it's just dermatitis.
Contact dermatitis. Trauma in one place manifests on another part of the body. It's not uncommon.
And when he returns home, he continues with the strange visions. That night, Matt manages to open the door and discovers that behind it was a morgue. His brother arrives, and Matt starts spinning him quickly on the stretcher, making him see visions. Peter gets angry when he finds out that his wife hid from him that the house was a funeral home. Later, he tells his children not to worry about it, and that they will only be there until Matt recovers. When they were about to have dinner, Matt starts having visions again with the people who previously lived in the house. His family gets scared seeing him like that, although his mother says it's the effects of the medicine. Wendy asks him what's wrong, and he confesses that he has seen things that aren't there. At the hospital, Matt continues with his strange visions. A patient named Nicholas Popescu notices that Matt was daydreaming, so Matt confesses to him that lately he has seen things that aren't there. Nicholas is a reverend, so he gives him his card to call him if he keeps seeing things. At home that night, the family starts experiencing blackouts.
Turn the lights on, please! Thank you!
The next day, Matt's parents go to work and leave Wendy in charge of the children. Matt plays hide and seek with Mary and his brother, but when he goes to look for them, he starts having visions again with the young man, who he now knows is named Jonah. The visions lead him to the morgue, and he gets locked in there, seeing many bodies with writings on them. Scared, he calls Wendy, who finds him delirious alone in the basement. Not knowing what to do, Matt calls Nicholas to talk to him about the visions. Nicholas tells him that due to his condition, people like him are on the border between life and death, giving him the ability to see spirits. Therefore, he tells him that he has to find out what the spirit wants from him. That night, the spirit appears to him. Matt confronts it and asks what it wants from him, and it only shows him more visions. When the others arrive home, they find chairs stacked, and Matt with his hands covered in blood from scratching the wall. The family starts to worry more and more about Matt's illness and his strange behavior, even though the doctor tells them that the tests show nothing wrong with his head. One day, the children play hide and seek with Wendy, and while looking for a hiding place, Mary goes up to the attic and gets stuck in the floor. Meanwhile, in Matt's hiding place, he feels the presence of the spirit. When they scream, she runs for them. She goes up to the attic with Matt, and while helping Mary, they find a photo album showing the people Matt has seen in his visions, including the young Jonah in a spiritualist session. He tells Wendy about his visions regarding Jonah, so she starts to believe that the house is haunted. Therefore, she decides with Matt to investigate the photos. Wendy discovers that the owner of the funeral home was a man named Aikman, the old man from Matt's visions. Aikman conducted psychic research. Jonah was Aikman's assistant and was a medium. Aikman held spiritualist sessions using Jonah as a channeler so that other people could come to talk to deceased relatives, making Jonah expel ectoplasm from his mouth. In one of the sessions, all the attendees, including Aikman, were found dead, and the young Jonah disappeared. In the 1950s, the state began building a new road that would pass through the part of the cemetery near the house, and when the coffins were exhumed, it was discovered that many of the bodies had disappeared and were never buried.
Someone stole the bodies.
Aikman. Or Jonah, Aikman, or...
To find out more about what happened, they call Nicholas to show him the photos, as well as to give him a box full of eyelids. Upon seeing them, Nicholas theorizes that Aikman practiced necromancy in an attempt to use the dead to bind them to the house and amplify Jonah's powers for his sessions. Nicholas suggests praying for the dead and for Jonah. While holding hands, Matt starts having visions, observing the last session where Jonah expels ectoplasm from his mouth. Sarah arrives home and interrupts the visions. She gets angry at Nicholas's presence, but he explains that Matt was the one who called him. He tells her that he believes there is a spirit in the house that wants to tell her son something, but Sarah doesn't believe that's what's happening, so she asks him to leave.
You're not alone.
That night, now Wendy also starts seeing the spirit. And not only her, but also Sarah. Peter arrives home drunk, and upon seeing all the lights on, he enters the house shouting, turning off all the lights in the house. Sarah confronts him and asks him not to come back to the house if he gets drunk again. When they go back to sleep, the whole family starts experiencing strange malfunctions in the appliances. Frightened, Sarah has no choice but to contact Nicholas. Nicholas starts looking for where the spirit died. When he goes down to the basement, he realizes that's where it is trapped. But the furious spirit doesn't let him get close. Nicholas looks for the spirit's remains to remove them from the house and stop the paranormal activity.
Will Matt be all right now?
Yeah. The house is quiet and at peace.
But then Matt realizes that he has Aikman symbols written all over his body. His mother calls an ambulance to take him to the hospital. Meanwhile, Nicholas almost crashes when he sees the spirit sitting in the back of his car and realizes that spirit is Jonah. At the hospital, Matt also sees him, showing him visions of the spiritual session and how Jonah was trapped and incinerated in the house by the spirits he had summoned. After Nicholas realizes this, Jonah's remains vanish into the air. Meanwhile, at home, Wendy notices that the food has rotted. She takes a bath just as Nicholas calls the house to tell them he made a mistake. Aikman didn't cut the eyelids to increase the visibility of the spirits, but rather to hide them. Moreover, Jonah wasn't evil. Rather, he was the one protecting them from the wrath of the spirits still trapped in the house. One of them tries to drown Wendy. At the hospital, the doctor tells Matt's parents that the cancer treatments have had no effect and he may not have much time left. When his parents enter to see him, they realize that Matt has escaped. He arrives at the house with an axe. Wendy sees him and gets scared, trying to stop him from entering, but he comes to break the walls of the house, revealing the bodies hidden by Aikman. Matt gets Wendy and the children out of the house to stay alone to fight the spirits like a champ. He continues breaking the walls of the house, while we realize that Jonah seems to be occupying his body. After removing them from the walls, Matt sets fire to the bodies and the entire living room, staying in the middle while the spirits surround him. Sarah, Peter, and Nicholas arrive with the fire department. Sarah and Peter frantically try to enter to save Matt. Sarah manages to enter and takes Matt under a table so that nothing falls on him, while the spirits are finally freed from the house. The firefighters enter to save Sarah and Matt, who is not breathing. While the firefighters try to save him, he has a vision where he is in a cemetery with Jonah, now without burns. Matt seems to follow him until he hears his mother's voice and wakes up, returning to his body, and Jonah leaves freely, appearing one last time next to Nicholas. In the end, Matt's cancer disappeared, and he fully recovered. The house was rebuilt, restored, and resold. None of its subsequent occupants have complained of any paranormal activity. And that's how the movie ends. Promotional material for the film claimed it was based on true events experienced by the Snedeker family of Southington, Connecticut in 1986. Ed and Lorraine Warren claimed that the Snedeker home was a former funeral home where morticians regularly practiced necromancy, and that there were powerful supernatural forces at work that were cured by an exorcism. Carmen described specific entities, such as a thin demon with long black hair and dark eyes, and another with white hair, and a formal suit whose feet seemed to move constantly. However, according to skeptical investigator Benjamin Radford, he says, there is little to no evidence that anything supernatural occurred in the house. Radford wrote that author Ray Garton was hired by the Warrens to write the supposed true story, and Ed Warren gave him, "Everyone was crazy. You have one part of the story, just use what works and make up the rest. Just make it up and make it scary." Researcher Joe Nickell has called the story a hoax. Nickell noted that since Ed Warren died in 2006, some of his co-authors have admitted that Warren told them to make up incidents and details to create scary stories. The 2009 film took the family's accounts and adapted them with fictional elements, such as the character of Jonah, a medium who does not exist in the real accounts, and a dramatic ending involving a fire, something that never happened according to records.